There is some good energy here at the Star. Brianna Aldridge and Garrett Podell joining me to talk about the Saints vs. Cowboys matchup that is coming up. And Garrett, the Cowboys start the season 1-0, but what's even better than that? Starting the season 2-0.
Absolutely. And I think it's so huge because the teams that Dallas has next on the schedule, I think the week after it's Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens and kind of playoff to caliber teams the rest of the way early on in the season. And so they also talked about setting the tone at home, right? They had a 16-game regular season home winning streak. Obviously, people remember the playoff loss the last time they were out there against Green Bay. But 16-game home winning streak in the regular season, longest active streak in football, and they're looking to protect home court down here at AT&T Stadium.
Right, and all starts against the Saints coming up here Sunday. And head coach Mike McCarthy was asked what has to get done to defeat the Saints team, and he said it starts by stopping the run. You agree with that?
I would agree with that, and Micah Parsons would agree with that, because when he was asked about what's the key to this game, he said, Alvin Kamara. It starts with Alvin Kamara because he's a dual threat guy. He's somebody who he had over 80 yards rushing last week, over 15, 20 yards receiving, 110 total scrimmage yards. So he can do it all. And speaking to Eric Kendricks earlier in the locker room, he said with Kamara, you look at him, he's a finesse guy. You think he just wants to juke you, but he's 225. So when you do it, go to tackle him, there's a big impact there. So that's the key, slowing down Kamara, making Derek Carr have to beat you from third medium, third and long. Because that's when Parsons and D-Law and everybody else can really tee off.
Yeah, so stopping the run defensively. Now switching a little bit, we heard from Dak today talking about offensively what has to be done. Everyone was pretty much impressed, knew there was going to be a little bit of rust, right, kind of happening with CD not being there throughout camp and what have you. But he said he wants to see this team being able to convert on third downs, communicate up front, especially talking about those rookie offensive linemen, and then also acknowledging that there's going to be some veteran presence on the Saints side defensively, and they're going to have to be able to be physical.
Absolutely. I think the big key there with Dak and CD is just another game together, because Dak spoke about, CD, maybe bled some of his routes, or the way at the top of the throw in terms of CD's positioning wasn't quite right. But that just comes with knocking off the rust. I mean, CD spent most of his offseason in Florida because of the contract holdout. So now that he's paid, Dak is paid, everybody's happy. So now they can focus on the football element of it. And I think what was interesting is CD talking about wanting to be involved. We've asked him about his conditioning because he wasn't at training camp in the offseason program. He's happy to be a runner as well. He had a career-high 3 carries for 25 yards this past week. And he said he was a high school running back or peewee running back. But then early high school, I asked him, when did you stop becoming a running back? And he said, when I woke up one day and I was taller than my dad, that's how he knew it was time to play receiver.
Yeah, that definitely stood out to me so much. And they said this, do you feel like you and Dak are where you need to be? And he didn't seem to hesitate much about that, about what's going to be happening week 2. Coming with chemistry.
Absolutely not. I mean, these guys have played together for 4 years, going on 5. CD's the top target, led the NFL in targets and catches a year ago. I think it's only a matter of time before those two really get going.
And keeping with the offense, one thing that stood out to us today, rookie Tyler Guyton had his matchup. That was the headline, right, going into week 1, how he was going to match up with Myles Garrett. And he said wasn't good enough. What do you think about that statement?
I would disagree with that statement. So my preview that matchup for CBSSports.com earlier in the week, I said it was baptism by fire, and I think he held up pretty well. He did give up the strip sack early. Myles Garrett just bull rushed him around the edge, knocked the ball loose. It did roll into Jalen Tolbert's hands, so not a turnover. And then he finished the game just that 1 sack allowed, 2 quarterback pressures. So after the big sack allowed, 1 quarterback pressure the rest of the way. I know he's probably helped out a little bit chipping with Ezekiel Elliott and some other running backs blocking the backfield, but that's a pretty great start for your rookie first rounder against Myles Garrett, the defensive player of the year from last season.
Yeah, definitely going to be excited what these two teams can do. I did want to mention, though, there are 2 injury updates kind of keeping a close eye on. Again, this can change at any moment, but tight end Jake Ferguson did not practice, but there was some momentum happening there on the sidelines. What did you see going on there?
Absolutely, yeah. I saw him early on in practice when guys were stretching, warming up. Jake and tight end John Stevens with a hamstring. He was the only one who missed week 1, by the way. They were both off to the side catching balls from the jugs machine with tight end coach Linda Wells. So they were out there getting their hand-eye coordination going. And then during practice, you saw Director of Rehab Britt Brown attaching the resistance band to Jake Ferguson's waist and walking him through that. So they are doing different things to keep his body fired up, and he's pushing to play. I mean, we talked to him yesterday, right? And he said, I'm going to push to play. I'm not going to go out there if I'm going to hurt the team, but if he thinks that he can maintain all his responsibilities, he wants to be out there and play. And we talked to Dak about that, and Dak said, I'm not going to urge him to come back, but if Jake is comfortable, Dak's happy to have him.
And the second one was rookie defensive end Marshawn Nealon. Now that one looks a little bit more optimistic because he was back out at practice as listed as limited. And he was a big reason why this team was able to stop the run week 1. So I think that's going to be something we'll look at. But again, Coach seems pretty optimistic about both.
I would agree. I mean, Nealon especially, I mean, he told us that this is trending in the right direction. The team doesn't view the Nealon injury as serious. And Jake Ferguson, they keep saying, you know, he's moving in the right direction, small baby steps. There's been no definitive answer there. But, you know, if you're a Cowboys fan and you see that he's actually out there doing things, catching footballs, you're optimistic.
And my favorite part is when we asked prior to practice if either one of those guys were going to be practicing, and McCarthy said, yeah, as soon as the media portion leaves, we're going to put them out there. So he seems in good spirits about what is going on there. But thank you, Garrett, for giving us that update and looking very much ahead for this week 2 matchup.
Absolutely.
That's going to be it for now. For Brianna Aldridge, for Garrett Podell.